Hello and welcome back, future scientists. I'm Mr. K with Mississippi Public Broadcasting. We've been talking about ecology a little bit over the past couple of days. So what we're going to do now is review some of that information. So I've got a quick 10-question worksheet for y'all. Teacher, if you could, go ahead and pass that out to everybody. Y'all take 10 or 15 minutes to work on that, and when you're ready, come back to me and I'll do it on the board as a review. All right, I'm sure that didn't give y'all any problem, but just in case it did, I'm going to go ahead and review it, so make sure to add or change anything you don't have. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, this says, number one, an organism that needs to eat other organisms to obtain energy is known as a consumer, right? If you consume something, that means you're going to eat it, and that means that you can't make it yourself. Remember that producers are the ones that can make their own food, right? They're producing it, and that's why we call them that. All right, number two says, relationship in which two species live closely together. So we've been talking about a few different types of these relationships. These are all types of symbiosis. To live together in a close relationship is known as symbiosis. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're neutral, but those types of relationships are called symbiosis. Let's go to the next one. Number three says, which of the following is not a consumer? All right, so that means that most of these are going to be eating other organisms. Which one of these is making its own food? That's going to be the oak tree. That's the producer. The tree is a plant, it's doing photosynthesis, and so it doesn't need to eat these other organisms to obtain its energy. All right, let's go to the next one. 4 says, what is the term for each step in the transfer of energy and matter within a biological community? Okay, so this is known as a trophic level. So imagine if you're looking at a food chain, when you go from the plants to the insects to the animals, every time you move from one to the next, that is you going from one trophic level to the next. So every level along that chain is known as a trophic level. All right, 5, so the amount of energy that usually transfers from one trophic level to the next, it is just 10%. Most of that energy is lost from one trophic level to the next. Only 10% is retained and moves on. All right, let's go to the next one. So here's 6. As you move upward from one level to the next in an energy pyramid, energy is going to decrease. Okay, energy is going to decrease as you move from one trophic level to the next. Okay. All right, let's keep it going. 7, plants that convert energy from the sun are called producers. So if you're producing your own food, we call you a producer. Another name for that is an autotroph, and most autotrophs use the sun and do photosynthesis to do that. All right, just the last couple here, so let's knock this out of the park. 8 says, of the following choices, which level would have the most energy available to them? So our producers are going to have the most energy available to them. Remember that all energy in these food chains are starting with the sun, and that every time you move from one trophic level to the next, you're losing most of that energy. So producers are the ones that have the most direct connection to that sun, so they have the most energy available to them, so that's where most of the energy is. As you move from producers to consumers to higher level consumers, you're losing most of that energy along the way, and so that means that producers have the most energy available to them. Great job. All right, let's look at 9 here. 9 says, some birds are known as honey guides because they lead the honey badger to wild beehives. When the honey badger takes honey from the hives, the birds can feast on the honey and bees too. This type of relationship can best be described as, so this is a type of relationship that we call symbiosis, and because this is a win-win, the honey badger is getting food out of it, the birds are getting honey out of this, this would be mutualism. It's a win-win for both of these organisms. The beehive, the honey badger and the birds work together to get the honey, and so that's a win-win for both of them, so we would call that mutualism. All right, 10, this one says an illustration that uses arrows to show the many possible directions in which matter and energy can pass through the organism in an ecosystem. So here are all of our answer choices here, and this is a little confusing because you might think it could be food chain or food web, but because this says many possible directions, that's going to lead me to pick food web. Remember, the food chain is more simple, it's very linear, you go from one organism to the next. The food web is the one that's a little bit more complicated. It shows all of those relationships in an ecosystem. So I think that's our best answer choice here. So thank you so much for following along with me today. Your teacher has some other work for you to do, so make sure to give that your best effort. And I hope everybody has a great day.